Hello, this is Mustafa. Mustafa Talks Tech, your digital marketing specialist and tech evangelist. Coming at you with another episode of the Mustafa Talks Tech show, which will be podcast and streaming through YouTube. Tonight we'll be streaming through Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube, if I haven't said that. Tonight's subject, what I want to talk about is rebranding and speak of that in the context of Twitter's name change, which is you may be aware of, and talk about Facebook's new platform Threads, which you may also be familiar with. It's been out for maybe a couple of weeks now. So again, this is Mustafa Talks Tech. We're going to talk about rebranding, kind of talk about Facebook's new platform Threads, and then just talk about rebranding. First, let's start off with about Threads, since that'll be the easier of the subject to deal with before we go into Twitter/X. Threads, you may be familiar with. It's a new platform out by the makers of Facebook, Instagram, Meta. And Threads is a platform which seems like it's being positioned to compete with Twitter and maybe even siphon some of Twitter's people who are dissatisfied with Twitter, be looking for something else. Threads is kind of looking to bring those people over their way and be an alternative platform for those who may be dissatisfied with Twitter. Threads, I didn't know anything about it. Someone messaged me to ask me my opinion about it, and that was the first time I had heard about it. I usually try to stay up on things in social media world because of my background and my professional leaning as a digital marketing specialist, but this one totally went over my head. I didn't know anything about it. So once I became aware of it, I immediately signed up because it's owned by Facebook, Instagram. I was able to easily sign up because Facebook, Instagram already have accounts on them. So I was able to migrate through to their newest platform with ease just by just a few taps. And I was up and running. I had a Threads account, and I followed a few people, requested a link up with a few people I already was connected with on Facebook and Instagram because, as I said, they're owned already by the same people. They're all in the same little ecosystem. So when you come into Threads, you will see people who you're already connected with on Instagram and Facebook as recommendations or people you may know. So you can just go ahead and link back up with people that you've already linked up with before on those aforementioned platforms. So I did that, and I kind of traveled around just to kind of get a feel for it, and made a post or two just to kind of check out how that interface works, the ease of, and for the next couple of days after that, I just kind of went back and just kind of checked out how the conversation was going, how people were reacting to it. Just checking out my page, seeing if any traction was going on for it yet, and just trying to get a feel for the platform. Myself personally, it's not a bad platform, and I don't want to say anything negative about it, but um, I wasn't with it. I'll just say it like that. And my being unimpressed with it was not anything to do with the platform or its structure or its design, the layout, anything like that. I just saw it as a case of a Me Too and too little, too late, because it's just another platform among so many other social media platforms that allow people to communicate and talk and connect and discuss and things like that. So there's, in a sense, just a saturation, oversaturation of just, social media, where I dare to say that it's just not even needed. It's just a platform that was built or put out just because they can, not necessarily there's a need. Now, as I say again, it seems that it's being positioned to take over. Some people feel Twitter has dropped off and is dropping off. So if that is its stated purpose and people fall off of the Twitter world, then they can transition over to this, because it has a kind of Twitter like um kind of interface, and kind of, if you're familiar with Twitter, it's kind of a similar interface and a similar ecosystem and world, just it's, you know backed by the people that do Facebook and Instagram. So, if you're teed off with Twitter, then this may be an alternative for you. Myself, I just I didn't see any need for it myself, because I'm already working on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. I do YouTube. I have done Tumblr back in the day. I've done other platforms, some that have fallen off. So I'm pretty much covered on the social media platform. I have all that I need to communicate with people and promote my brand. So this is just another a Me Too type platform that I just didn't feel that was needed. But I'm not saying to you that not to sign up for it and don't use it. It could be very well something that's useful for you. It's another communication tool. It's another brand building platform. It's another way to network. So hey, it could be something great. But if you're already on Facebook and Instagram and you're already communicating with a lot of people, the point I'm making is that those same people that you're talking to on Facebook, Instagram, are being migrated over to Threads. Kind of like, if you remember back in the day when we got on Instagram for the first time, everybody who was on Facebook, I can't remember if it was automatically, but they kind of shifted you over to Instagram. So when I signed up for Instagram, I had an automatic built-in plethora of friends already, because it's like my Facebook friends migrated over to Instagram. I can't remember how that worked. Was it me or them that did it? But starting off on Instagram, I hit the ground running, because all of those people that was on Facebook, and I had like 5,000 Facebook friends, I was able to migrate a lot of them over and having a solid foundation already. So, um, if you communicate on Instagram and Facebook pretty well, you're gonna be talking to those same people for the most part, potentially on Threads. And so, in that sense, it wasn't necessary, and it's not necessary for me. Maybe for you. Um, you may have heard the news about, or you may have seen, if you have the Twitter app on your phone and you went to your phone recently, you saw a big old X where Twitter used to be. And that's because Mr. Elon Musk has announced that Twitter is going through a rebrand, renaming, where X marks the spot. That X is now the new brand name and the new um, platform, replacing what Twitter was. Still the same interface. You go on X. It's going to take a while for me to even say that. X, formerly Twitter, that it's the same platform, the same ecosystem, the same everything. It's just a rebranding is going on that is now X. And that's not necessarily an uncommon thing. I have my I have my questions about the wiseness of this particular name, not necessarily the rebranding, that it's just an X. That just doesn't ring any bells for me or invoke any type of feelings or just do anything for me as a brand name. Just, whereas Twitter, that's something that, it's kind of memorable, it kind of works with you, or Facebook, uh, uh, Instagram, or LinkedIn, or TikTok, those brand names that kind of, invoke something from you, or they're kind of memorable, or they, have little jingles to them. But, this is just a straight X. Hey man, you download that new X platform. Hey man, are you connected to me on X platform? It's just, I don't know. That's just not working for me. But Mr. Elon Musk is going through a rebrand. As you know, a year or so ago, Mr. Elon Musk has taken over Twitter. And there are those who are not Mr. Elon Musk and his taking over of Twitter, and some of those changes that have taken place since him taking over Twitter. And in this video, I'm not putting a pro position or a con position for Mr. Elon Musk. I'm just stating the facts of this rebrand that's going on. But there's a lot of changes coming down the pipeline for Twitter, and I will assume there are many, many more coming down the pipeline. And people make these social media platforms what they are. It's the people. And if you have keep the people happy, and you're providing a safe space and a engaging space, and the interface is cool and is easy to get on and navigate and stuff, people will they will come, and B, they will stay, and C, they will tell others and invite others too. But as X, formerly Twitter, goes through so many of these internal issues and external changes, then that's creating a lot of dissatisfaction among people. You hear about certain celebrities are canceling, deleting their Twitter accounts. You hear about the everyday people are just kind of jumping board on the Twitter platform. And I don't know. I really don't know what the future of Twitter will be. We very well could wake up one day and find out that X, formerly Twitter, or if it has a new name by then, is no more. It's one of those iconic brands that once was, but now isn't. Conjuring up ideas of MySpace that, if you've been around long enough and you remember MySpace was as big as Facebook and all these modern social media platforms. MySpace was it, but through changes and other things, MySpace fell off, and Facebook and others replaced MySpace. So I don't know if that's the future for Twitter. I really don't know, but it's a lot of shakeups and mix-ups going on over there in the Twitter world. But needless to say, Mr. Elon Musk is rebranding and attempting to make some changes with the Twitter platform to make it more in line of his personal vision or what he thinks this social media platform should be. And as I say, a rebrand is not a strange idea, and in and of itself is not a bad idea. Some of the greatest and most iconic brands have gone through rebrands throughout their history and time, as they have transitioned from one particular focus to changing to another particular focus. Apple is one of my favorite companies. I'm a Apple man to the day I die. I'm on an Apple MacBook right now. I have an Apple iPhone right next to me. I've owned several Apple iPads. I want to get an Apple Watch. I got the AirPods. I'm an Apple man. I want to get their new VR set that comes out next year, but it's $3,000. But I'm sure I'll find some way to come up with $3,000 because I'm just that guy that I will adopt Apple's technology because Apple has proven themselves to me, and I'm satisfied with the products that they have offered, and they have offered me quality products. So I am an Apple guy. I'm definitely satisfied with Apple. But Apple themselves went through a rebrand in the mid 90s going into the late 90s, where and when Apple came out, they were solely about computers, providing affordable, quality personal computers where people could get on and do their word processing, do some business, do some printing, do some personal things on a personal computer. That was them, you know. Even their logo was always the apple, but it was a color apple. It was like, a few different colors of that Apple logo. But in the mid 90s, going into the 2000s, as Steve Jobs began to come back into his company that he founded, the story how he was kind of pushed out of his company at one point, but they brought him back because he was the founder of that company, and he had that vision to get him started, so they needed him again to be that visionary to help them revamp and rebrand. So Mr. Steve Jobs came back in and he brought some vision and some rebranding strategies. And Apple is now a company that is not limited to being known for just a computer, personal computers. They do the MacBooks, they do the iPhone again, they do the iPhones, they do the tablets, they do the Apple Pen, they got the Apple Watch, they had the iPod at one time. They're going into the VR headsets, next year. So Apple rebranded themselves from being just a limited computer company to being a multi-dimension tech company that offers many different tech offerings. And I love them for that. And I'm always interested in seeing what they would do next and where would they go with this technology. So, a rebrand is not bad or strange. Again, some of the greatest companies that we have looked at have gone through a rebrand where what they used to do became stale, or they wanted to reach a new audience, or just different reasons they had to rebrand themselves, reintroduce themselves, come up with a whole different persona to present themselves to their potential prospects and loyal customers. So Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, is going through that process now. And who knows, it may come out on the other side being a good thing, and Twitter may become a greater platform. We just don't know. It's just in flux right now. We don't know where this thing gonna land and how it's gonna end. But Twitter's going through that rebrand at this moment. And I know a lot of people, for various reasons, are just not the biggest fans of Mr. Elon Musk. So anything he does is going to be looked through that lens of disgust. So, this whole rebrand and different changes that he's doing, some people are just never going to be satisfied with Mr. Elon Musk. And again, I'm not presenting a pro position. I'm not presenting a con position for Mr. Elon Musk. I'm just talking about what is with the rebranding of X, formerly known as Twitter. So, yeah, that's pretty much where I wanted to go through on those two things and kind of bring it to you and myself that, sometimes we have to rebrand ourselves as either our personal brand, or we have to rebrand our business. And that can be due to several reasons. We could have a brand that has really run its course. And instead of starting a whole new business, we may just need to switch some things up. How many companies that we have seen have done a logo change over the years of that business life? Just a simple logo change can bring new life into a company and be a symbol of their rebranding offers. Sometimes that company may have to change their product lineup. Prime example, let's talk about Hardee's. Um, and when I've known Hardee's all my life, at age 45, I've seen Hardee's from a child and seen the whole transition of Hardee's. But when I grew up, Hardee's served burgers and breakfast food, right? And then in the mid 90s, Hardee's transitioned into chicken, fried chicken, because Hardee's was trying to compete with KFC and maybe even Popeyes and other chicken chains, fast food chicken chains. So Hardee's went from serving just breakfast food to burgers to now serving fried chicken. So that was a sort of a rebrand for them where they expanded their product offerings, right? And then they added a bunch of other products to their lineup. And I know this because that was my first job as a young adult teenager. That was my first job. I worked at Hardee's. So I saw a lot of these changes in real time. This whole rebranding and restructuring of Hardee's going from a strictly burger joint to offering many options. They even did a Philly steak at one time, which was really good. But at a certain point, new leadership came into Hardee's, and they found out what was going on is they was being a jack of all trades, but a master of none. They were so stretched out and trying to do so many things, they was not doing anything well. They was doing chicken, they was doing, Philly cheesesteak, they was doing, burgers, they was doing this, they was doing that. They was just stretched out. So new leadership came in and said, we're going to rebrand. We're going to go back to the basics. We're going to master the burger making process. And we're going to come out with a burger that is unique, a burger that when people bite into it, they know that's us. And it's going to be really good. And it's going to be budget. It's going to be nice on your budget. And so they came out with the $6 burger, where they were offering a restaurant quality burger, but in a fast food setting. And it was a real good burger. So that was a rebrand for them where they dropped the chicken. They said, we're not doing chicken no more. We're not doing the Philly cheesesteak. We're not doing all these extra stuff that we're doing because we were just stretched too thin. Again, becoming a jack of all trades, a master of none. So they just became, again, a strictly burger joint. And by them having a singular focus, they was able to master and be really good at doing that one thing instead of trying to dilute their efforts doing many things. So that was a rebrand from Hardee's, where you saw them start with burgers, kind of went all over around the world, then ended up right back where they started with, just focusing on burgers. And now, Hardee's is known as strictly, they're a burger joint again. So, that's an example of us that sometimes we're doing products and stuff that just have run its course. And sometimes we have to just step back and maybe we need to drop a product, or sometimes we need to add a product. And that could be a rebrand for us. Again, I said sometimes we need to change a logo. Sometimes our focus is off. The audience that we're going after, who our target audience is, that we have to rebrand sometimes and change our focus. We're going after the wrong audience. And that can be discovered by doing some research, doing some buyer personas, doing some market research to find out where you're going with this and who are you trying to reach. So let these two brands, Threads and Twitter, be an example for us. Because in the example of Threads, when you're coming up with an idea, you don't want to be a Me Too copycat, where you're copying established platforms, and now you're just another Me Too. And so what you're offering is not necessarily unique or offering something new. It's just another knockoff that's going on. That's what I saw from Threads. So let that be an example for you. Don't be a knockoff artist. Try to find where there's a problem and come up with a solution, and come up with a solution that is unique and it's not necessarily a rethread of anything else that's going on before you. In the example of Twitter and its rebrand, when you make that change, make sure that you're making a step forward and not a step back. As in the case, I just woke up one day with a big X on my smartphone where Twitter, a name like Twitter, went to just an X. And I don't know what that, I mean, X means unknown. So, I mean, are they saying that our future is unknown? We don't know where we're going to go and how we're going to get this thing off? There's no story behind X. It's just X. So, if you're going to change logo or change name, then, just think about the end game of how it's going to be perceived and what story is this new logo or this new name is going to tell, so that you don't lose people in trying to make a change and try to make a transition and make a new logo and make a new name. You don't want to lose people that you've already gained, but you can lose them by product confusion. We've seen that happen over time in different businesses where, they lost their audience, because their business messaging was just too chaotic and too all over the place, that people didn't know what to believe in or where you stood or where they fit in your business ecosystem. So, don't, let that be a lesson to you to learn from X, formerly known as Twitter. Don't confuse your audience with your messaging. So yeah, that's I think pretty much most of what I wanted to talk about tonight. Just wanted to just really talk about Threads, my opinion on it, what I saw from it. Talk about X, formerly known as Twitter, and that whole situation, and then just kind of talk about ourselves with our branding and changes that we sometimes have to make. I had to do that same process about a year ago. I have a Facebook page that became pretty popular, but my messaging was getting ready to change. And I wanted to change that platform. I wanted to change the logo. I wanted to change the name. I wanted to change the focus. And I had to take into consideration everything that I'm talking tonight about, Threads and X, formerly known as Twitter, because I knew if I shifted too far and made a wrong turn, then I would lose all of the established people that I had brought along with me in my journey up to that point. If the name was too out there or the logo was just too much of a shift from what they had already become comfortable with, I would lose them just the same as well. So I had to be strategic and intelligent when I did my own rebrand of a business and a Facebook page that I run. And I was able to successfully make that transition. I haven't missed too much of a beat. Now, some people did inbox me and they were very, very dissatisfied. They didn't like the name change. They didn't like the logo change. They were, why couldn't you kept it like it was? I think this is a bad idea. And I thanked them for their feedback, and I sincerely told them I appreciate it. But, this is what it is. I let them know that the core of what I'm doing in this particular platform is not going to change, but the brand name and brand logo, I believe, was creating some consumer confusion, because I was getting all type of inboxes about certain things with this platform. So to alleviate that, I looked at what I was offering, looked at the messaging, and saw where the confusion or the disharmony was, and I made those changes. And now it's very clear what this platform is. There's no ambiguity, unclearness, or what is he talking about? What does this represent? Now you know exactly what it represents, from the name to the logo to offerings and everything. So that's what I had to do myself. So yeah, we're gonna go ahead and land this plane and just go ahead and end this. If you're on Facebook, check me out. Like, and stay in touch with the page. If you're on YouTube checking this out, if you're not already, subscribe to the channel and stay in touch with me. We're going to be dropping a lot more messages. If you are on LinkedIn and we're not connected, hey, follow me, connect with me so that we can continue communicating on tech and digital marketing subjects. And I look forward to communicating with you at another time about digital marketing, tech, how it affects you, how it benefits you, and how it's going to push our world forward. So check out my YouTube channel. I have 30 some other videos or messages. Check it out. Tell me what you think. Give me some feedback. If you have any questions, feel free to message me on any one of those platforms that I mentioned, either LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube. You can comment and ask me some questions, and my next video may be based on your question. I may make a whole video based on your question. So it's Mustafa Talks Tech. I will talk to you another time.